Welcome, everybody, to Newcastle Fans TV. Aston Villa 3-0. It should have been more, if I'm honest, and that's where I want to start with Villa, because they're doing what we did last season. They were relegation bound, pretty much, and they bring in the right manager, and things are clicking right away. And to be honest, we have had that coming for a few games now. We started out poorly last week against Brentford. First half in some of these away games this year is something we absolutely have to work on. And guess what? When you have a manager like Unai Emery, he's going to set up his side, especially at home. He set up his side magnificently. And we got pimp slapped.
We identified our weaknesses, mate, in structure, and it was on our left side.
Yeah. Moreno was fantastic for them. Ramsey, Buendia was finding space as well. Ollie Watkins. Very, very bad. But yeah, welcome everybody to Newcastle Fans TV. This is the fan reaction show. I'm extremely pissed off. So we're all just going to vent our frustrations. This is on this game today only, and that's it. I don't want to hear no comments saying I'm a hater or whatever the fuck. Get out of there. Today we were shit, and we're going to call it like it is. So, Andy, just start us off with your thoughts on the match.
I think you summed up the leading into the game based on the two away performances that we've had the first half. It was no surprise that we started slowly. Let's be honest. I don't think any Newcastle fan would say that they were surprised to see we start slowly. I think you just got to give credit to Villa; they were better than us. They identified area. Gordon was, off the ball when the ball's in the air, and he gets a position to receive the ball, and then he's just nudged every time. Loses the advantage that he had on the player next to him. Then Dan Burn didn't have his best game, let's be honest.
He hasn't been having any good games, really.
In the three in midfield, couldn't cope with Villa or the overloading midfield. They were really overloaded. Moreno was getting forward on their left side, adding an extra man. And we struggled with it. And if it hadn't been for Pope, let's be honest, there could have been a couple more.
Yeah.
And the offside.
Yeah, absolutely. It could have been 4 or 5. And it probably deserved to be. Connor, just talk to me about some initial thoughts, bro, about what we watched. What I had to wake up for at 7:30, by the way.
Listen, I have to agree with Andy. I think the slow start wasn't necessarily a surprise considering how we started the last 2 away games, really. But I thought, and I expected a reaction in the second half like we got last week. I expected Eddie Howe to make changes at half-time like he did last week because it wasn't working. He didn't do that this time. This time he decided to wait to give those players time. Now, and to be clear, because like Steve said, what we're referring to this game alone, not the season as a whole, I thought Eddie Howe got that wrong. Because to me, it wasn't working in the first half, just as it wasn't last week. You've got to make that change then, because when we came out in the second half, starting the same way, it just picked up where it left off, and it gave Villa that momentum to keep going in the second half, because we weren't changing, we weren't doing anything right at all, and we didn't change it. And by the time we did, Villa are all over us. We're lucky not to have been 2-0 down with an offside goal that's very marginal, and then we go 2 down anyway, and you think, well, game over. And I must say, the one thing that did surprise me today was how poor the defence was. I mean, that's apparently the best defence in the league this season. We looked like the worst defence in the league this season. We could not, every ball into the box, they were winning the first header, the second header. We were getting lucky a lot, Nick Pope had to saves. And you're watching it thinking, what is going on? I can forgive them being a bit disjointed because we did, Anthony Gordon, that's his first start. So it was a slight tweak to the usual midfield four we've been playing. Fair enough. The back four was the same as it's been the vast majority of the season. Yeah. So for them to be that poor really isn't an excuse. But yeah, give Villa credit where credit's due. They're a very good side. They showed that today. We just didn't match them. But we've got to shake it off and move on to next week, because it's a big game against Spurs next week. If we can beat Spurs next week, I fully believe we'll be getting top 4. Because I think
Huge game, innit?
with a game in hand on them, we could, I think we could knock them out of the race next week, really, with a decent win. So that's a big one. And I'm interested to hear what Eddie Howe has to say after that. I don't know.
I'm not
what
going to be happy.
It's been our worst performance of the season.
I've got to say, though, I mean, the Miggy chance, if it doesn't get blocked off Mings, I think it's in. If we score there, we might get back in the game. We don't know. But we did show a couple of little periods where we had a bit of a go, but Bruno didn't have his best game. And I've always said this, if he doesn't tick properly, we struggle.
There are problems when he doesn't play at his best. I agree.
I have to say as well, just quickly, I don't think we were allowed to be as physical as we usually are, because I felt as if the referee was giving them free kicks. I lost
every time.
I thought the ref. Then again.
There were so many soft fouls from honestly both sides.
For both teams. For both teams.
I totally agree with what I'm saying. I don't think it was allowed to be the physical game that we like to play, but never have a physical style as well. But it was stop-start, every bit of contact, the ref's giving a free kick for, and you're just thinking, it's like I'm watching netball here. You're allowed to make contact with players. It's a contact sport. But with this,
he was giving fouls for 50-50s all the time, wasn't he? Where someone's just won a 50-50. Yeah, they were doing six and a half dozen of the other. You know what I mean? It was getting frustrating. I totally agree with that, Conor.
But the ref was the least of our problems today, and obviously, I know
let's be honest, it wasn't the ref.
No. And the ref could have given us whatever. Could have given us 2 goals if he just wanted to, for no reason at all, and we conceded 3. 10. Talk to me, bro. Talk to me about what you thought.
First 30 seconds, the watching stance of the post.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, it's Brentford again. Last week. And then somehow survive, not to be 2-0 down, but to be honest.
In the first 15 minutes, Jacob Ramsey had 2 amazing through balls to the left. Probably should have had 3 in the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Crossbar 2.
So, I think going into this game, I knew this was the toughest of our 3 away games.
Yeah.
So, I saw this 3 away games as get 6 points out of 9, which we did. That's a good way of hopefully we can get top 4. I do think hopefully we get a response next week against Spurs, but just looking from today.
I demand a response, 10. I demand a response. I demand it. Just like how I demanded after the shambolic Sheffield Wednesday BS. I demanded a performance after. I don't mind losing.
We have got to bear in mind that we have, we've got to remember these people are human beings. They've been away from the families for a week, and was it 3 away games, 4 away games out of 5 games? We stayed in London for a few days. It's gonna the pattern of play. They haven't been able to get training in as they normally would. There was obviously going to be a little bit of a drop, but it was the Villa are not that much better than us. That's the frustrating thing. If we both play at a good level, not at the top level, at a good level, we should be able to compete and have a tight game. That was not a tight game.
Oh no! In every aspect of the game, Unai Emery and his guys, they schooled us. They looked comfortable in all three kind of phases of play. Defensively, we gave them a problem or 2. I mean, Martinez, the save on Isak was out of this world. Absolutely out of this world. That shot from Isak.
And even if we did equalize,
right?
Even if we equalize, we would still lose.
So it's a good save.
We were never in the game.
I do think, though, that he's one of those keepers. I think he made the save look a bit better than it actually was. Because when you see it from behind, it's not actually far into the corner. It's quite simple.
Are we on about the one where he's tried to bend it in from the edge of the box? Yeah, I don't think that's an amazing save, Steve. I think
it's a decent save. Mark one for the cameras there, which he does. He's a showman. He's going to do that.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Nick Pope does it sometimes as well. That's what keepers do.
It wasn't a bad shot, though. That's the thing. And he's been scoring those. He's been scoring those also, mind you.
Yeah, but it's also a save that a World Cup goalkeeper, I would be expecting him to save that, to be fair, because it's not a corner. So,
And the fact that Aston Villa have that kind of goalkeeper and they finished ninth place. They're looking for a top 10 finish first time since 2010-11. The fact that they have a
This is
World Cup
the
winning
best
goalkeeper.
run they've ever had in the Premier League since the days of Dwight York and Milosevic.
That's unreal.
So that tells you something. They haven't won 5 or 6 consecutive games in the Premier League for over 20 years.
That's ridiculous.
Wow. And we had 5 wins in a row twice this season.
That's the frustrating thing, isn't it? We've went into this in form, albeit being a little bit fortunate at times, i.e. against Brentford, Tony missing a penalty. We have rode our luck. Like Steve said at the beginning of the video, if a team showed up against us for full 90 minutes, we were going to take a hiding. And Eddie said that in his press conference. We have to play better in the first half. For 90 minutes, if we have a period in the game like we did against Brentford, we will get beat. And he's been proven correct. Obviously,
against
against
an informed Villa side.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this question then, throw this out to you. Next week against Spurs, big game, obviously, we need to get off to a good start in that game, especially at home. Should Eddie Howe be starting Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson together?
Yes, and Dan Burn needs to be dropped for a target. Enough's enough. Let's just call it how it is. Dan Burn, he's done well for us, but he got exposed.
I think you do one or the other. You don't do both.
Today.
I think if you drop down Burn, you play one striker. If you,
I'd rather just drop
4-4-1-1, 4-4-1-1 or 4-4
and then
4-4-2.
So apart from the game, lads, how are you?
Sorry, Kieran. Welcome to the show, by the way, bro. Nice to talk to you. What's going on, Kieran?
Apart from the game, how are we all?
fantastic, mate.
Pretty sound.
Yeah.
My gran could have put up a better performance than that, and she's 6'1".
No, that was real bad. And you know what? Maybe we needed that. I don't know. Because Jesus Christ. I mean, like Eddie Howe, like Andy, you just said. Eddie Howe was talking about we're going to start these first halves better.
This is the thing, though. That's why you just have to. This is a bit of a wake-up call, right? It's the Premier League you're playing in. And if you're wanting to get Champions League football, you're not going to get an easy run the whole way through. You're going to come up against, days like today. You just have a bad day. This season, we will need as many bad days at the office as the likes of Spurs have had, for example. So, in that respect, we just have to keep going. I also think that, it's easy to get overly annoyed when you see a performance, for God's sake. But actually, it's a rare performance for us to put in the day, and I'm pretty sure that Eddie Howe will be working hard, as will the players, on the training ground during the week to rectify that next weekend, because they've got to. Because at the end of the day, we want to get Champions League football, and I think realistically to get that, we need to get 70 points. I think that's got to be the target. So
I think 70 is the
14
benchmark.
points to get out of the last 7 games.
24.
Yeah, it's more than
Get
We
to
could probably
70.
get that.
we should get that. But we have to use this as fuel. Kick on for it. Oh, do you know what? That's the kick up the arse that we needed, because it's been going all the way for a wee while there. That's just a reminder that actually brings you back to earth to remind you that it's not always going to go the way that you want it to go. You're not going to get that lucky all the time.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's like I've said so many times, because I feel as a football fan I have to pay my respects. Even though I hate Aston Villa, bro, they have been turning up. They've scored in every single game Unai Emery's managed. Every single game, and no team, only Arsenal, have picked up more wins than them. That's outrageous. So this isn't no bum-ass Aston Villa team with Dean Smith or whatever. Like, it was a perfect storm today. And all Villa had to do was put their chances away, and they did.
Here's a question. I actually have a good question. Was Emery in charge back when we played them at home, or was that just like who was taking charge of the club?
I think it was the caretaker.
If memory serves me correct, Fulham beat them 3-0 on a Thursday or a Wednesday. Then they played on the Saturday against us, and they got pimp slapped by us.
4-0.
And that was with an interim. So they announced Unai Emery, but Unai Emery was not in for the. He wasn't in for the Newcastle game.
Yeah, they announced him the same morning it's coming back. They announced him the same morning. But after that performance, he's probably thinking, can I stay with Villarreal?
No, and you know what? It was deserved. It was deserved. I know we got rat milk in the comments. It's a hilarious username.
Is anybody of the opinion that maybe it was the three in midfield that I thought when Longstaff came on, I know we did concede again, but we didn't look as ragged when he came on. We looked a little bit more controlled in midfield when Longstaff. We didn't look as potent. Well, we never looked potent, let's be honest. But it was a surprise to me when he came on, and it was a surprise to myself that I was hoping that he was going to get on because he just kind of calmed the game down when he came on. We're a little bit better on the ball. The amount of times that Trippier tried to play the ball down the wing on the right side and we lost the ball with Moreno. He was brilliant today for Villa. Let's be honest.
My man of the match.
And I said to you weeks ago, I really do rate that lad. I think he's a really good player. And Watkins ran ragged. No one could pick up his movement. Their midfield players had a plan to get the ball to the striker in a certain way, and they executed it, and we couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
And Andy, you texted me, bro. There was no Leon Bailey. Coutinho hasn't really been that great for him, but still another. And they didn't have Boubacar Kamara, who was a fantastic. Coutinho, Bailey, and Kamara were out for them today, and they ran circles around us from.
But let's not forget Villa have spent some money in the last 18 months as well, so they have got quality in their squad. The good thing is that for them as fans is they've actually got a coach and a philosophy now.
Yeah, game plan.
The big game managing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they can take the midfield today, and I think part of the issue as well is, and I've felt this a couple of times this season. Sometimes I think because of the style of football we want to play and that Eddie Howe wants to play, and by and large it's worked and it's been great. Sometimes we've lost that art of forgetting how to sometimes just clear lines. You don't always need to try and play football from the back. Sometimes a punt up the park, a punt out for a throw, regale yourself. Because at one point today I've seen a situation where I think it's Joe Willock, he's a midfielder, picks it up inside our box and tries to dribble through two Aston Villa players on the edge of your own box. Just don't do that. You punt that ball when you clear it, because that leads to a corner which we almost conceded from. We didn't, but it could have been. And you're going, that's part of that mindset of we always have to play for that. Look for the crafty little pass through. But actually, you're not always going to get that. And today, what Villa done is they were so in our face. There was no space to try and play through them and to get a ball in behind. Isak was trying to make runs, so was Wilson. But Villa were over. They're too tight. So sometimes you just need to use your head in that situation and go, we're going to skin the players here, so let me just put this out and get everybody into shape again. And I think a couple of times this season we've got caught doing that. You look at Botman, for example, who's been great, but has made one or two errors, usually have came from trying to be fancier than he needs to be at the back. Let's get back to the keeper or try and turn in, but just clear it. I'm quite happy to see a punt up the park sometimes. It doesn't bother me as long as it's clear on our lines.
And the ball then goes in the back. It doesn't matter how it goes in. Come off your arse, mate. It's safe. The two areas that we were poor today, massively, where it shows by the scoreline, is at the back and up front. But the two best players individually were probably Isaac and Pope, in the sense of the effect he had on the game. Pope kept the score down. Isaac did have moments, let's be honest. He just didn't have any service.
I was stabbed the service all day long, partly because the midfield just weren't at it and they were a bit disjointed. And it's funny because I remember last week, Steve, you were talking about should we give Anthony Gordon a start? We got his start.
I've got egg all over my fucking face.
After the disappointment, obviously,
Jesus Christ.
And I think he's one that needs a little bit more crafting first before he can be a starter week in, week out. I think, going off the bench in 20 minutes to go, not a problem. You're going to get a bit of pace from him, but I just feel like they didn't have the creativity. I think when you make the change and an Almiron comes on, for example, albeit he doesn't score, but he's immediately in that situation where he's in, he's on it. Gordon, just a yard to his hole, or he's no watching his line. I mean, that offside he got caught in when the pass is down the wing. He shouldn't be offside there. Just look across the line. You can see the line. He doesn't need to be offside. I do think he's got those. But he's still young. That's why. But for me, I don't think I'd be starting him next week.
Oh no.
No, definitely not. No, you're right. It surprises me with someone with such an aggressive attitude that he gets pushed off the ball so easily. I know that obviously he's not the biggest lad or anything like that, but a few times the ball bounces before them and he's got the defender pinned behind him, the ball goes in the air and he's waiting for the ball to drop, and the amount of times the defender just slight nudge, tactical nudge, threw him off the ball and he loses the ball, where you know, we're starting to create something positive was quite, I don't know whether you noticed or not, but it was frustrating the hell out of me. Every time we went down the left side, in his defence, the Villa defence outnumbered him at times as well. When he did actually control the ball, he had people around him, and he isn't ESM. He's not able to get out of them spots. So, which is a pains us to say at the time, we did miss him today, ESM. I think Villa grew confidence, the fact that they could really push up the pitch on that side. So a shame that we missed him. Let's hope he gets fit and starts to come back and show some form, because it's make or break time. Let's be honest with ASM. He either shows it now when we need it, when he comes back, or what's the future going to hold for him? Let's be honest.
Absolutely. I'm going to look at a few comments. Make sure to smash the like button, people.
Can I say something about the previous comment from this one?
Previous comment being what?
The 9 points from 3.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Let me pull that up so everyone gets a little reference point there. Where is it? Claudio. Claudio's son.
Yeah, Claudio.
To you, brother. Yeah. So Claudio said, "Let's face it, 9 points away from home was never going to happen. We need Spurs and Man United to slip up this weekend. I think Man United will. Spurs probably should, but fill a billing tax. So we'll see. But we need Spurs and Man United to slip up this weekend. Time to regroup and give Spurs 90 minutes of hell next weekend. Thank God Spurs can't play football. That's all I'm going to say. But what were you going to say, Kieran, about this? Sorry.
I agree with the 9 points from 3. Like, it is a tough challenge, and I didn't expect us to do it, but we got 6 in the end. And in fairness, I'd much rather us lose this game and then go home to Spurs and then win there. Because, yeah, why not?
Yeah, fair enough. Let me look at some other comments.
I fancy our chances against Spurs.
Yeah, I'm about to watch them on my other TV. See how they do against Bournemouth. But yeah, we'll see. Eddie should have started. Yeah, up the cherries. Eddie should have started Longstaff for his defensive work in the middle. Wilson to press a back line. Isak was a wrong choice to start for me versus to run the channels and drift. So let me address this point. Let me address this point by point, right? Eddie should have started Longstaff. Andy, you're saying, nah?
When you base it, who was our best outfield player today for us?
Isak. Isak was the most dangerous. I think he had the really. I think it was a really good save, Martinez. Whatever.
I get the point that Vincent's saying that Wilson will run a defense, but did you see that when he came on?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
What Wilson bring it? What I will say is that when Wilson came on, him and Isak does he gets a little bit more space, I would say.
Yeah, he does, because the focus goes on. Yeah, you're right.
So to be fair, Wilson at least did that for us. But in terms of what are y'all saying, Andy? Real quick about Longstaff for his defensive work in the middle. I don't think that changes the scoreline or the result.
It's the one thing that we give him credit for, in the other hand, that we give him criticism for, because he gets himself in good positions. His finishing's at times being a little bit what's the word?
Just terrible. Yeah.
Frustrating, I'd say. But there's nothing that you can fault Longstaff for in the sense of tactical awareness, being where he needs to be. Yes, okay, when he receives the ball a few times, he daddles on the ball and gets caught on the ball at times, but I think we're a better structure with Joe Linton and Bruno with him than I do with Willock. I prefer when Joe Linton's on the left and Willock's in the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I think it was wise that he brought him on, because I think if he hadn't brought him on, we could have conceded 4-5.
Probably. Connor, what do you think about this whole Longstaff thing? Should have started about Vincent saying should have started Longstaff defensive work in the middle.
I mean, I don't know, because at the end of the day, we're all kind of 50-50 in Longstaff. I think Andy said it there, on one hand, you give him a lot of credit for his positional work and, that rate that he's got. And certainly can be good defensively as well. But on the other hand, when it comes to his finishing and that final ball, not always there. I think, in light of the fact that we had to make 2 changes in midfield today, because obviously Gordon starts, which he wouldn't have done. You'd think if ASM was fully fit, he probably would have started rather than Gordon. So on that basis, maybe he should have started Longstaff, because maybe he's overly disrupted it by making himself too.
At the same time, though, he does give the ball away a lot, Longstaff, and Dan Burn was giving the ball away.
It's normally his high-risk passes when he gives the ball away, though.
And what Longstaff does, I think, that I do quite like, that I think Joe Willock doesn't do enough for the type of player he is, he draws a lot of fouls, Longstaff. He buys a couple of yards and maybe, spots the man coming behind him, so slow down to let the foul happen. Yep. Willock sometimes doesn't do that. He just likes to run and see how far he can get. And sometimes you've got to be more clever than that, especially when you're playing a team like Villa, who aren't likely to fall into that trap when they're playing so well. You want to make sure you get yourself as many set pieces as you can get to get on top of them. Because we did have some luck for set pieces. Certainly, it was scrappy clearances that we were seeing. So in that respect, I don't know. Would I have started Longstaff? Yes, because Gordon had to start as well. If he didn't start, though, then I would have been happy with Willock, to be fair. So 50-50, I guess.
10, Longstaff should have started. Thoughts about that, possibly? And does it change?
It's easy to say that Longstaff should have started, because then
in hindsight,
to me it doesn't really matter, because we lost 3-0, not 1-0 in a 90th minute winner where there's a circumstance Longstaff does this and Willock does this in a bad. You know what I'm saying? We got our ass kicked at 3-0.
I think the left back position was the problem today. I'll be honest. I think it was the left back, left side of our Gordon and Burn was the issues today for me.
Let's look. Compare and contrast. Sorry,
when Eddie Howe made the subs today, when Eddie Howe made his changes today, at the time he did, an hour into the game, was should Burn have been one of those changes? Should we have been getting Target on at that point as well and bring on?
He should have been off at halftime.
Just the two.
Should have been in the first
should have
half.
been
Should have been Wilson.
First half.
Come on.
Because there was clearly a problem.
We're basically playing a centre back at left back when we have a left back available.
Right.
It's because we play the right back so high that Burn tucks in and makes us like a back three. That's why.
Essentially, when we're attacking or in high possession, it's a 3-3-4. Essentially, but if you want a player like that, I get it, Eddie. So go get Lilian Brassier from Stade Brest. You can play center back and left back. Good in possession. He's not as good as Alex Moreno going forward and whatnot, but he's tidy on the ball. Something like that. And Denver's done a great job for us, fine. But there have been moments, and Villa exploited that today. So we need to change it.
I think
change it. Give Matt Target a chance, because he's just going to feel completely ignored.
And ultimately, the evolution of Newcastle United is going to be more of a Target player than it is a Dan Burn player. Let's be honest.
Yes.
We're eventually going to get a left back that does more of what Matt Target does than what Dan Burn does. If we're going to be in the Champions League, we've got to have a threat on the left side from a left back position in some way, whether it be balls from deep, linking with the midfield, or getting overlapping runs, getting balls in the box. We will be getting an improvement on Matt Target type of player. So therefore, if he wants to try his system, he has to at some point give Matt Target a try. He'll probably do that when he's got an injury in the centre half position, and he'll move Dan Burn because let's be honest, Dan Burn's been an absolute revelation this season. He's had a bad game today. Let's be honest, but does he deserve to be whipped out the squad for one bad performance? Possibly not. Bruno had a bad game today.
Right.
So
not the squad, but Dan Burn should not be starting against Spurs. Has to be Target for me.
I disagree. I think he does.
I think the lineup we go into next week is the normal three, but Burn on the bench in for Target. And then Longstaff, Willock, and then Joe Linton in the midfield. But then you can bring like Bruno on or something midway on, and then he can push up the field if we're like still drawing beyond half time, and then have Wilson, Isak, and say like Miggy, because he's back now. Have like them three up front, because that's 3 goal threats to worry about. And then say like we're like 1-0 or 2-0 up. I think our lucky stars if we are.
Just answer that question there that's on the thingy. Yes, it was worse.
Yes.
Was the performance as bad as the result? No, it was worse.
And then
It
we could bring
flattered us.
Gordon. Yeah.
It flattered
bring
us,
Gordon.
3-0. No, go on. Sorry, Kieran. I keep cutting you off. Go on, bro.
Sorry, mate.
It's fine. We could bring Gordon on like later on, like in the second half, if we're like 2-0 up or something, 2-1. It's some more pace, and then they can just push up the field and go from there.
Yeah, well, it shows how far ahead of the curve we've managed to get though, under Eddie Howe, to be fair. Because think about it, next year, this time next season, when we're making changes at half-time, I would expect those changes to be better players than what we're bringing on today. Because clearly,
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So for us to be able to,
we're not going to bring Jacob Murphy on in the round of 16 against Inter Milan.
See, to be fair to Jacob Murphy, what I would say, I do think he has, since he said
he's improved a bit. He's improved quite a bit.
Okay, I think he gives you today. There's a point where he actually sends 2 Villa players, running in circles as he goes down the wing. So he's got a little bit. My only frustration with him is he doesn't have that final ball at times. I thought the only time he did, he played in a lovely ball just across the face. If Isak is a bit quicker to get on the end of, it's probably going to be a goal. I just think he's the kind of player that, he's not, in terms of future and what we're looking to do, he's not going to be factored in. But again, that's how impressive it's been.
It's lovely to love Murphy, isn't it? It's just the final ball.
Yeah, well, think about it. We're 2-0 down in the game, desperately trying to get a goal to get back into it. And as much as I love the guy, we're bringing on Elliot Anderson to try and change the game. But you're not, you think like City will bring in a Rodri or a De Bruyne or something in that situation. So, it's levels, and we're getting there slowly but surely. As I say, next year, the Suns will be looking a lot better. And that kind of change.
I have a few points about our transfer window in the summer, and I think a few we could agree on. Southampton, if they go down, then James Ward-Prowse will want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Snatch him up for like 30,
I would love Lavia.
Lavia as well. Lavia is world class.
I would take him. Or who's centre back there?
Considering the price he'd be available for if they get relegated, you've got to be looking at Ward-Prowse.
And I've also heard
30-40 million.
I've heard a rumor if Leicester City go down, James Maddison is available at, get this isn't going to make sense to your brain, but this is just what I've heard. He is available for £20 million.
That is 20. That is a robbery.
That is treble. I repeat, treble, if not quadruple, his actual value.
Yeah, well, it's a fifth of his value. It's a fourth of his value, or a third.
In fairness, I would take either Maddison or Barnes from Leicester. I would take either or, because they're both quick. But I'll just take either.
Maddison for me is the better footballer.
Would you take Ollie Watkins as an option striker?
Hell yeah, but the problem
definitely.
The problem is though, and this was to Jack's comment. Do you reckon Villa will sneak into 4th or 5th? Guys, these guys are on the rise too. They don't have the crazy money like we do, but they have a brilliant manager, a top 10 manager in the world at Villa. They also have a World Cup winning goalkeeper. He's managed to make Tyrell Mings look like a good defender. Konsa was dog water under Gerrard. And now he actually looks like the promising player we all thought that he looked. You've got McGinn, very good midfield.
Steve, if they keep Watkins fit, they'll be playing Europa League or Europa League Conference minimum this season.
And they could win it because Unai Emery wins Europa Leagues straight up.
I think, I don't think they'll be top 4. I think they'll get top 5.
Yeah, I
top
think
6.
fifth. At
I
best, really.
think
just
if we got
think-
results,
3 of the next 4 games Villa have got in terms of the running are not easy games. They're away to United, they're at
Well,
home,
they'll beat them.
home to Wolves, and
Nah, I
away to
still think
Liverpool.
Man United will.
So you've got
Man
2
United.
nah,
tough-
Man United have got Maguire.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
automatic
you.
win.
Thank you.
As good as
I knew
Villa
Steve. I knew Steve was thinking about that.
You've
Thank
got to
you.
also remember, historically, it's not like they've got great records going away to these grounds. And it doesn't matter who
Oh,
you
yeah.
are. We came undone ourselves away to Liverpool, despite how poor they've been. You go to Anfield, that is still probably the second hardest game of the
Yeah.
season away at Anfield, outweigh going to the Etihad. And
We should have
United
won at Anfield.
get something off United. I hope they do, because that will help us. But I just don't know. But they might, but I think it's a tough run for them to get
Oh, fair
through.
play. Third richest in the Prem. Okay.
Yeah,
they
it's
do
a
well,
have
fair
a
point.
rich
They are-
owner, and
they
they're
are
not
quite
afraid to
wealthy.
spend money.
fair play then. So they are. And again, they have a manager. Yeah, they are on a very, very similar upward trajectory from what it
You've gotta
looks
look-
like.
If Villa
Steve,
get
you've got to
Europa
look
League,
at,
then they're going to
regardless of
win
the
it.
money, every Premier League team can spend money. Let's be honest. The owners are very wealthy.
Like
You've
Nottingham
also got to
Forest.
look at, if
Their
you're
owner
a
isn't
player,
even a billionaire.
if you're looking at a player and the player's getting taken round, they've got brilliant facilities. They've got a manager that's proven to win European trophies. He's managed at the top level in the Premier. Well, say top level at the Premier League. He had a top job at the Premier League. Let's be honest. Okay, wasn't given probably the time he deserved. They will be in the hunt for players that potential other top 4, top 6 sides will be looking at. They might not be their first choice. They will be sitting at the big tables for players looking for the scraps. They will, and they'll be able to give them the money as well because they've got it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy what Villa have done. And it just shows how wank Steven Gerrard is as a manager, but whatever. It's true. It's true. Anyways, I'm trying to see if there were any other comments here that I want to address. Actually, you know what? Something that I haven't seen in the comments. I am baffled. I am stunned. How did Eddie Howe not make any halftime subs? Does anyone have an explanation for me?
Didn't want to make things worse.
It's
That's-
tough.
Yeah.
He's got to make a call. I think probably the wrong call, just on the basis that it wasn't working. Last week it wasn't working. He made the changes that worked. This week maybe he should have tried the same thing. That being said, at the same time, if I'm Eddie Howe, I'm looking at those players I've put out on the park, looking at the performance they've put in, and at half time, you can bet your bottom dollar him and Jason Tyndall will give them a bit of a bollocking for that performance.
Of course.
And he probably was expecting go out there and give me a reaction, because he's looking at not only that game, but he's also looking at who wants it for next week, who wants it for the big game coming up. Because today, even whatever the result was going to be, we're not going to drop out the top 4 this week because our goal difference is so superior. Even if Spurs win, we're still above them. So he's factoring that in as well. And I think also the fact that some of the players on the bench, like Almiron, he's only just back from injury. I'm not sure you'd want to take the chance of giving him the second half. So, yeah, it's a weird one. Could have made the changes. How much a difference it have made, I don't know.
He starts for me against Tottenham.
Yeah. It's one of those ones. Some weeks you'll see a manager do it, other weeks they won't. It just depends on how they're viewing the game. But listen, we can't start with Eddie Howe, because Eddie Howe has been brilliant.
He's going to go back to his trusted, isn't he? He's going to go Joe Linton left midfield, Willock, Longstaff, Bruno, Miggy on the right, possibly Wilson on the. Isaac's got to start ahead of Wilson for me.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I think we have to go 4-4-2 against Spurs. I think we gotta start them both. That's what I would do.
Or 4-4-1.
Personally. Yeah, 4-4-1-1. That's what I would do, because there is a lot of things to exploit about Spurs. There's a lot of things, especially if we get space and whatnot. So I don't know. We'll see. But
I think you'll start to see the two of them starting together a lot more next season, because I think when you get a third striker in the building that can come on and also make a difference, that's when you do that. Because the one risk you take, if you put the two of them on, you don't have another striker there to bring on if it's not maybe working and you want to change it up. It's all midfielders you've got then. So that's probably part of the thinking as to why he's not fully committed to that. But Nick, I think we'll get another striker or two in the door, and then he'll do that, because then he can change it if he needs to.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
also, should substitutions have been made at halftime? Should.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Nothing.
Really?
In the first half.
Interesting. I don't know.
I'm gonna hop off for a couple minutes, but I'll be back near the end.
Take care, bud.
No worries, Kieran. Take care, bro. Take care.
See you later.
I'm going to get off, but I'm going to just ask anybody that wants to mention it. Do you think that the performance from Gordon, I mean, and this is not trying to make nothing out of something out of nothing, but obviously they've had a chat. It was mentioned at the press conference.
Yeah.
That kid did not look the same player he did when he come off the bench them times against other games. He didn't. Whether that was just the pressure starting his first game or not, but that left side did look weak, and I truly believe that the reason I said Joe Linton will start on the left hand side against Tottenham is because of the way we were so open in the first half. At least if you play Joe Linton, you're not going to have that worry of, or you'd like to think that you're not going to have that worry in the first half against Spurs. Do you agree or do you disagree that Joe Linton will start? Or
Yeah, I think
all day long, Joe.
he has to start from the performance today from Gordon.
Do you know what the problem for me is with Gordon? You can't act the way he did last week when you get subbed off, then get a start this week and play that poorly. Because he's behaved that way last week because he wasn't happy, because he felt, clearly he wanted to win the park and he deserves more game time. Well, there you go. You've had your chance today after that, and you've not responded to that in a positive way. You've come out and, been too easy to beat, been a light touch and not quite grasped it yet. As I say, I still like him. I still think he's time to go.
yeah.
But Joe Linton has to be starting next week. It's got to be, Joe Linton, Bruno, Longstaff, and Almiron for me next week. That it can't be anything else, because you're taking a chance in. As much as Spurs are Spursy and Stellini's an absolute idiot, you still can't underestimate what they're capable of doing if you get it wrong. So, no, Joe Linton all day long.
Well, it's Harry Kane tax. It's Harry Kane. Like, he can just pop up out of nowhere with a goal, multiple goals, or he can set them up. So
I don't think he gets the credit this season, especially. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for the amount of goals he scored in such a shit team. And excuse me, French.
It's unreal. No,
Tottenham
it's unreal.
play some absolute dog shit football.
Right.
This is going to get clipped and we're going to get beat next week. And but they do play some absolutely awful football. Especially when Conte was there, they would get results, but it's just so Italian and it's horrible.
Bournemouth.
If I was paying 70 quid to come watch that, I think I'd. Well,
they have the highest season ticket prices in the world, by the way. Highest.
I can only imagine how much it is for a season ticket there. Whatever it is, it's 90% too much. But take care, everybody. Thank everybody for watching the video. And please hit the like for Steve, yeah? Take care, everyone.
Yeah, hit the likes, people.
Take care, Andy.
That good stuff. Yeah. Peace out, Andy, man. I'll talk to you later, bro. No, but yeah, and we got a few Villa fans in the chat here. All the banter we 1,000% deserved it, because you guys just kicked our ass. You know why I put the title? We got pimp slapped by Good Evening, because that's what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Nigel Franklin saying that's what I'm saying. If you catch Newcastle on one of those days at St. James's, then good luck. Exactly. It's two good teams playing each other, and you know what? Sometimes this happens when two good teams play each other, or two teams that people rate. Man United who had Man United losing 7-0. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, exactly. And they got a couple of good results. That's what happens. You have to knock them down and get on with it, because if you get caught up in it, that's the problem you're going to face. You see, ultimately, right, the next 3 games we've got, so the next 2 away games are both going to be tough, because the next 2 away games are against teams scrapping for the likes in the relegation zone, and we know the problems we've had against teams at that half of the table. We're away at Leeds, we're away at Everton. Those are going to be hard games, because they're going to dig in. Everton in particular, we saw it last season at Goodison Park when they were fighting for the line, and their fans got them over the line in that game. So we've got to be careful that when that we respond next week in the right manner, and then we go into the next away game at Everton after that and put in a shift again and go and get the points realistically. But it's still in our hands, beat Spurs, and we've still got a game in hand on them. We can finish their challenge off if we play the way we know we can play.
Yeah, exactly. Worst performance in a long time. Intensity wasn't there last. It's true.
Yeah.
Like Trippier had like a moment or two where he just couldn't look arsed, if I'm honest. He's been a bit out of form if I'm calling it how it is. Same with Dan Burn. I mean, I don't know. Nigel also says, think it was more Villa good than Hughes bad. Yes, I do see that. And you know what? The results of Unai Emery back that up. That's not the. I do think it was more that they were good. They were good, and they caught us on a performance that we weren't that great. But yeah. Anything else here? Mentality is so central to our whole deal. Intensity. Gordon's not a villain, but he's a threat to our integrity. He has a lot of work to do. Anthony Gordon. A lot of work.
Yeah, I don't really want. I don't really want to judge Anthony Gordon until maybe next season, because look, when we signed him, I wasn't really like, ooh, yay. I was more like, okay, more like a squad type of player. I still don't expect him, next season. I don't really expect him to be starting games, really, because I just feel like we should be getting more better quality players. But I give Anthony Gordon time, but so far it hasn't looked good. But hopefully he proves me wrong and performs well whenever he gets the next chance.
Yeah, exactly. Paranoid Radio. It's just nice to see two traditional English clubs fighting the status quo, the Premier League Big Six. I mean, that Big Six shit is a bunch of bollocks, anyways. It really is. Because remember, guys, in the '90s, it was the Big Five, right, Connor? It was Everton, Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal. And there was one more.
Us.
Probably Leeds. Or in the 90s, arguably. Leeds also. So, yeah, it is nice to see. It is nice to see some...
Blackburn obviously were in the mix. They won the title. It happens. I think the Big Six thing has been...
It's a media thing. Why
on earth would Tottenham Hotspur be in the Big Six? They have done nothing in note over the last 10 years. They got a Champions League.
They get top four.
They lost. They've done what Spurs always do. Get close, but no cigar. And I get it. Spurs fans will flood in and say, well, Newcastle won. Fair enough. That's a fair point. The difference is we haven't tried to pretend that we're in there fighting with the big boys all the time when we're not. This season we have been, because we've been good, and we're going to be doing that going forward. Next season, I think we all expect, whether it's Champions League or Europa League, we'll be playing European football next season. Yeah. That's the expectation there.
Yeah, I think we got that now.
That means the squad will rotate a lot. That means more players having to come in the door, because you're going to need to, if you're playing Thursday, Sunday, that is tough. It's a tough schedule to deal with, plus 2 cup competitions as well. Welcome to big boy world, basically, when that happens.
It's a nice problem to have.
Exactly. I'd rather have that than not.
And that is, next season is Eddie Howe's biggest test of his career, because you can do it. You can do it with Bournemouth in League 2. You can do it with them in League 1. You can do it with them in the Championship. You can do it with Bournemouth and achieve what they had, what their goal is, to survive and even finish top 10. You can go to Newcastle and turn us from relegation to comfortably 11th, 12th, which is only 3 teams have ever done that, surviving when we had barely any points. No wins until January or December, whatever. And then you can do what you do is getting possibly top 4 or Europa League the immediate next season. Let's talk about Europe. Let's see how he does in Europe. It's going to be hugely intriguing.
And that's what makes this summer transfer window, whether we get Champions League or not, I want to see much more better investment. I don't want squad players. I want players that I feel are starters, like a Moussa Diaby or
Chukwueze at Villarreal. Chukwueze at Villarreal, the
players that I
Nigerian winger,
feel,
guy like that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Who else is there? Even Kieran Tierney, who we've been linked with, I would have him as the starting left back. I want players that I want to be stars. I don't want squad depth type of players because, in a way, the squad depth players next season should be Anthony Gordon, Dan Burn, who else? Longstaff, Willick.
Let's have some ambition,
Ambo
boys.
and-
Shar. If we can get a badass center back that can rotate with Shar and Bobman and give him rest, something like that. Because that is something that we've been extremely fortunate. Fortunate
we are
that those two have stayed
fortunate
fit pretty much the whole year. And disciplined as well.
Because, I feel we've been, at least in our defense, very lucky with injuries in our back line, where it's been very consistent. But, you look at Man United, Lissandro Martinez getting a foot injury.
Yeah.
If that was to happen to Botman or Fabian Schär, or if both were out, we would be playing Dan Burn and Lascelles.
Yeah,
and that's just
you also because you've still got Emil Kraft still injured as well. So that is a tough area for us that we've been lucky enough to keep ourselves relatively injury free. But you're right, you do need to have more so you can give players a break in certain games. I think with Botman, I like Botman. I think he's a very good defender. He's made a couple of mistakes. I think part of that comes from when you're being asked to play 90 minutes, sometimes more when you're playing the games, a couple of games a week. You've been asked to play every game every week and be constantly switched on and constantly maintain concentration. There's going to be a slight mistake or two in there, but there's plenty of. The good thing is centre-backs aren't usually the most difficult position to go and bring somebody in, but you need to make sure it's the right person, obviously. I think that's something I would be keen to make sure we did. Who that is, I don't know. I don't know really who I'd be looking at. Maybe I don't know. Would you still look at like an Eric Dyer type?
No.
Whether that's the route we go down or what else we look.
I heard they're giving him a new contract.
And that's the other thing too. Thank God, he's woeful.
I'd like us to bring in next season actually, if we could. I think if we get in Europe, there's every chance we could. I wouldn't mind seeing if we could get Lukaku on the books because clearly his time at Chelsea's pretty much over. He's still on loan though, so we could probably get him at a reasonable price, and he'll certainly score you goals. I think with the creativity we've got, think about it. For example, with Trippier, the balls he puts in the box from corners and free kicks. Lukaku is exactly the type of player who'll bulldoze in there and get on the end of headers and stuff like that. He's just one suggestion. As I say, there's plenty of others, but I think it's always worth having a look and seeing, because you want to get players in at good prices. You don't want to just go, we're going to spend £100 million on a player.
Right.
You do that, but maybe spend wisely, as we've done so far. We have been wise in our spending. We've not rushed in, and it shows it works, because City's first season, when they got their big money, their first full season with that, they finished 8th, and that was because they brought in a lot of stars that had
mercenaries.
As a team, they didn't really gel all that well at first. It took them a while. We've went way ahead of that curve without actually bringing in the same level of players that they were doing. So I expect similar lines. And to be fair, Eddie Howe could probably get the best out of anybody, even an Eric Dyer, if that's who come in. Even though we don't like him,
there's no saving Eric Dyer. I'm sorry, there is no saving him. That guy's a slower turning circle than Lascelles, straight up. And he's been at Spurs for so long. I have so many Tottenham friends, and if I even said I'll take Eric Dyer off you, they would fly to America, knock on my door, and beg and plead with me, beg and plead for $5 million for him, for $2 million. Like, the guy is not a good defender, but whatever. I get what you're saying though, something like that. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else on your mind, guys, about today? Just anything Newcastle?
I mean, I just hope there's, why, as you said, Steve, demand a response on, was it Sunday against Spurs? You know, if our players want to be in the Champions League, because I do feel like, I'm not sure if I said it after when we lost the Carabao Cup. I did say, like, look, we lost the Carabao Cup that time, but I wanted to see a response, and so far we've had with 5 wins in
Yeah.
7 games. So I do think that in our players' minds, they're not going to say it publicly, but in their minds and what they think, you know, they feel Champions League football can be achieved. So in order to, you know, get Champions League football for next season, you gotta perform very well. And next weekend, it's, I think, our biggest test of the season. You know, so
I think so.
hope.
I think, yeah, I'm sticking by it. I
Smash
said when we beat Spurs away late October, I said, yeah, we're getting top 4. There's a video on it on the channel. If it happens, I look like a god who predicted Liverpool and Spurs weren't gonna do anything, and that Man United still got a bunch of losers there. Ten Hag can be amazing as he wants, but they still got a bunch of bums there. So,
Yeah, so maybe it's still between us, United, and Spurs.
I do think
They're points
it's
above Liverpool, so I don't think they're a concern. And as I say, Spurs,
not at all.
we beat Spurs, we'll then get a game in hand on them, which could put us 6 in front. The superior goal difference, which is quite impressive, the goal difference we've got, that acts almost as an extra point, because it means that Spurs need to do better than just getting level with us, because it's not going to be enough. So I do think we'll get top 4. I think today's just a blip along the road. It's what happens in the course of a Premier League season. And to be fair, we're Newcastle United. We're used to big disappointments. When was the last time we were mid-April having lost just 4 games in the Premier League all season?
Oh yeah.
And 2 of the teams that have beat us have been the 2 teams that have been tossing and turning for the title the last couple of years with City and Liverpool.
And it's also a Villa who have woken up out of a God knows how long slumber.
Absolutely. I do. To be
Almost
fair,
a 2-decade slump. You know what I'm
I
saying?
do feel sorry for Carlo, because I know that he'll be furious with it, considering where he lives.
Yeah, Carl ain't gonna be happy.
But no, I don't think there's need or merit to panic too much with a bad result. You just move on. Spurs, they could lose to Bournemouth today. You know, that is exactly the kind of result they would end up getting. So
Yeah, I'm watching them, and
I'm still convinced that they'll drop more points between now and the end of the season than we will.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I do think the top 4 race is between the 3 teams, Man United, Spurs, and us. I'm not sure about the only way I can see Villa getting top 4 is they have to be perfect still.
No, I'm telling
perfect.
Nah, bro, I'm telling you right now. I'm from this day on, I'm considering Villa in that UCL battle. I am. I have to, because they're on an insane run. They're 6 points off of us. They're 6 points off of us.
Yeah, true.
You know who's tied on? You know, Spurs are 4 points away. Spurs are 4 points away from Villa. It's only 4 points.
Actually, I don't know what the other.
You know what I'm saying? Nah, Nigel, bro. I think Villa could get top 4 this year, especially with Man United losing their 2 best center backs and still a bunch of bums. If you guys keep on ticking and ticking and ticking.
Well, the one thing I would say, just to point out here, because I'm looking at the table, Villa, yes, are 6 points behind us. However, we've got a game in hand on Villa. Manchester United, obviously, they've got 2 in hand because they've still got to play today or tomorrow.
Actually, both of our games in hands against Brighton, who everyone also says is in the top 4 race as well.
No, they've fallen off a cliff recently. I'm watching them. They're losing 1-0 to Chelsea right now, bro.
They're 10 away from it. It is like Villa could sneak in. I just think I'd fancy them more to step to top 6. Again, you're looking at teams around them with games in hand as well. Brighton have still got 2 games to play over Villa. If they win both, that would drop Villa down into 7. So I'm not saying they can't do it. I just think they need a few things to go their way for it to happen. And I just don't see. You can see a Spurs drop more for a Man United than us, but 2 out of the 3 would be an ask. Is all I'll say. But listen, who knows? It's the Premier League. anything.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I think Villa have to be perfect to get top 4, because I still think even when Man United or they can look like they're not that good at the moment, or when we all look not looking good, or Spurs, I just think that over the remaining 8 or 9 games, I still think all 3 teams, us, Spurs, and Man United, will still have be picking up points, even when Aston Villa are getting wins. I just think that Villa have to be perfect, basically. I mean, they can go on they have 7 games left, go on a 7-8 game winning run, then sure, they will get top 4, because they
Spurs 1-0 by
Man
the way.
United. I mean, we're still what, 4th or probably or 3rd.
No, I don't give a shit what Spurs
I
do.
just
We're getting,
I just feel like for Villa, maybe next season I can consider them like a European contender, but I just think that this season, even when we can be inconsistent, or Man United can be inconsistent, or Spurs, I still think the quality will shine through, because we have home games. Spurs have Kane, and sometimes even Son. Man United, if Rashford comes back, that's a big bonus for them. So I just think that for Villa, if they get European football, that's good for them. I think top 4 is a bit of a reach for them, but maybe next season, who knows?
Mate,
All right.
I'm just going to quickly, if you don't mind, Steve, I want to read out what Eddie Howe said, because I've just seen it here.
What is it on Twitter or something? Or
it was on the Beebs website, the BBC. So Eddie Howe basically said, he said, we were offered best levels today, right from the start. Aston Villa are a good team, and we never got going. We've been consistently excellent this season. Today is the first step. Not quite. We've had. It can happen when we have to react. This is the part I think you'll like, because I really agree with it. He said that we were just off it in every respect. We've got a massive game next week against Tottenham. I'm not really looking for positives. I'm looking for a response. I think that is pretty much on the money. I don't agree that it's the first step, because we've definitely had a wee sticky patch after the League Cup final for a couple of games. But he's right. We're not looking for positives. We're looking for a response. I think that tells you his mindset is exactly that. He's not, going to stand there and go, well, we done this well or that well. He's literally going, nah, forget this. Next week, Spurs, bring it on. I like that attitude. So,
I mean, I think over a period of time, I know our fan base will say, we're grateful for what Eddie Howe has done. And, I want us to be grateful of what has happened since the takeover. But I do think over a period of time, maybe in 5-10 years, I want us, I wouldn't say win every trophy, but, have the mentality that we can go into every competition, whether that be Champions League, Europa League, or the Premier League and all that, and really be, competitive, not necessarily being in a title race every season, but, have the chest to say, you know what, we're a very good team. We could win trophies and all that. So I do think over a period of time, and what Eddie Howe has said, he can take some positives out of the game, but he wants a response. And big teams, when they lose, they get a response. I've heard from Man United fans, when they lose 7-0, they still got bounced back in the following couple of days. They beat Betis 4-1. So big teams, even when they're down, they have to, keep that sort of winning mentality. And over a period of time, we will have that winning mentality, whereby even when we're down, we will come back. And look, today wasn't a great result, bad performance overall, probably the worst. But that's why what Eddie Howe said, you can look at positives, which there weren't many, but Eddie Howe wants a response on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's what the fans want, and that's what we all want. And hopefully we do get top 4.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so we'll wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses. Final question, just a little quick response here. It's all I need, not a life story. Where did Newcastle finish? Where do Aston Villa finish? I'll start this off. I'm saying Newcastle 3rd, Aston Villa 4th. I'm taking a shot at it.
Well, this is the same Steve, by the way, folks, who thought Qatar were getting to the World Cup final. So,
You know what? Fair point.
well,
I mean,
listen,
Steve, I told you I had a UCL prediction, Man City AC Milan final. So
Yeah.
come on, Milan, come on. Even though I said
that's insane.
Newcastle finished 4th. I think Villa finished 7th.
yeah, I think I'll go with the top 7. So first place. Actually, I'll say this: if Arsenal beats us at St. James's, I think that's where they have that title. So I'll go with Arsenal first, Man City second, third. I just think that the one in for Man United, I know they have a very favorable one in the final like 5-6 games. So I'll say Man United third, fourth. Hopefully we get fourth. Fifth, Spurs. Maybe sixth could be Villa, could be Brighton, and then seventh, Liverpool. I think that's the European top 7 places. I think.
Fair enough. I rate Aston Villa's backline above Spurs and Man United's.
Yeah.
That's what I would say is going to be their key. And they're catching fire at the right time, towards the end. So I don't know. That's just me. But like Connor said, I'm the fucking idiot who said Qatar could get out of the groups or whatever the fuck I said. I also wanted Anthony Gordon to start today, and I got served up that. So you know what? Fair enough. I don't know.
It could happen. I just think
Right.
I do think it's a bridge too far for Villa this season. But listen, watch out for Villa going forward, because this is just a start for them. You know, they'll be a threat again next season under Emery, no doubt about it, because they'll look to invest and bring players in. Yeah, they'll possibly lose some players, but I'm sure they'll replace them. So, they'll be there and thereabouts.
I'm gonna need some, by the way, Warren. I'm not on it right now after today. But no, I'm not on crack, unfortunately. Nigel, who's been the Villa fan in the chat, 4th. He said Newcastle 4th. Yeah, 7th. Wow.
Agree with me. Yeah, it's good.
I don't know. For me, Villa catching fire at the right time, and Newcastle just got to rebound. So we'll see. Anyways, thank you very much, everybody, for coming on, and in the comments, fan reaction as well. Had Kieran and Andy, and shout out Andy as well. He seems to have a knack for rating out of form players, and then as soon as he says it, they all of a sudden catch fire. He said Andy Bell said that Miggy would be top scorer this year, and I was like, what? And he is, and he might do it. And then he also said like, "Oh, Watkins ain't bad," and I'm like, I don't know. And then look at that. Watkins is one of the informed strikers in the league, so we'll see. But yeah. Anyways, thanks everybody for contributing in the comments. Just make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you to Connor, my guy. Love having you on, and same to you, 10 as well, my guy. But yeah. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Finishes Aston Villa 3, Newcastle United 0. Let's not get pimp slapped anymore, guys.